Is Ja Morant a winning player? That's the narrative I'm pushing here. Is Ja Morant actually the guy? This playoff run is going to determine it. Ja Morant is amazing in the playoffs. He's averaging almost a triple double in his playoffs. But the team just doesn't succeed. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Let's Basketball. We're going with the OG intro of the podcast, invented by your host Daniel. That was when? When did this pod start? How long ago was that? He stopped
February
looking at the camera like that.
It was
When
February
like,
was
of
it?
23.
yeah, it was the last
Wow, it
week of
was.
February.
So we're coming up, or we're past 2 years, really. It's been that
We got,
long.
I think the 100th episode is dropping in June.
Dang. And Victor looks like 8 years older since we started. As in the words of Vic himself, the pod has aged me. I feel the same way. All right, let's get into it. Welcome back to another episode of Good Morning Let's Basketball. My name is Mike, and I am with my co-hosts Victor, Kevin, and Timmy Thick. And today, he caught him off guard. And today, we're going to be talking about the best playoff storylines. So we're going to start breaking down series probably next week. Again, we're delaying the playoff series another week to just talk about general storylines as we wait for the play-in tournament to finish. We don't want to jump the gun too much, but we're going to just be breaking down our top four. This is going to be a quick episode today. So we're going to go one by one, and we're going to give our best playoff storyline that we have. A storyline, for anyone who's wondering, is going to be just the overall narrative of a team. Kind of, it could be like what it means for the team. It could be player focused. There's a lot of different avenues. It's kind of hard to explain. You'll kind of pick it up as we get into it. But playoff storylines and our top four, then we'll probably add some as well. For a couple other teams that we want to touch on. But we got four. We got four big ones. So let's just get into it. Who thinks their storyline is the best? I am voting to go last. I don't think mine's the best, but I do want to go last. Who wants to start?
I don't personally think mine is the best either, but I don't want to go first.
I think mine might be the hottest because you guys know I like the dark horse picks. So I'll go ahead and start it off.
Okay. Go ahead. Give us what you think is the most interesting playoff storyline going into the 2025 NBA playoffs.
Most interesting playoff storyline. I don't know why, but that phrase like really stumbled like 4 times in my head before I was able to get the words out. But like I said, you guys know I like my sleepers. I thrive off them. My take is, other than the Thunder,
You're dropping a hot take
no,
or
not a hot take.
storyline?
It's just like the intro. Shut up, God. Let me cook, dude.
My bad, my bad. I'll hop
Nah,
out the
just playing.
kitchen.
I was gonna say it's like kind of because I don't know if it's a hot take or not, but just like title of the storyline. Other than the Thunder, I feel like the Clippers might be the most complete team in the West.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
because if you look at it, right now they're a fifth seed. They'll be playing Denver for fourth. Seeds 2 through 8 are all within 2 to 4 games of each other. They're as good as all those teams. To say they're like really far behind or even far ahead, I feel like is really crazy to say. They're right there with all of them. And they dealt with some injuries this year, as well as some players booming. I feel like they've just really just snuck under the rug a little bit with a lot of people paying attention to the Lakers, the Thunder, and also the Rockets jumping from like a 12 seed to a 2 seed in the span of like a year. A lot of people are talking about Detroit like, oh my God, look at the jump they made, which is impressive, but I feel like some people skip over the Rockets too. But we're not talking about the Rockets. And at one point, this team this season wasn't even projected to hit like 30 wins or 40 wins. I think like one of their final projections was like 36 wins. And since Kawhi has come back, I mean, he's looking just like vintage Kawhi, which was my biggest question. And I feel like a lot of people were kind of curious about injury history. What the heck's going on with his knee? Why is one of them 2 times bigger than the other one? Doesn't matter because dude came back and he's averaging 26 points, 7 boards, 2 steals, and shooting 43% from three. Sneaky clip. He's a very sneaky clip, especially when he was on Toronto. I swear to God, I didn't see him miss a shot for like a whole season. Oh, man. Just looking at their team through and through, they have a great playmaker and scorer in James Harden. I know a lot of people kind of have written James Harden off as a scorer, but at the end of the day, it's still James Harden. He can still give buckets. He's had a couple of vintage performances this year, which is awesome to see. He's back in the all-star mix. Wasn't all-star this year. It's time for him to win. Between him, Russ, and a bunch of the other seasoned veterans that actually have a chance to win a finals, I feel like his is very, very strong. Or at least get there. At least get there. They got the sixth man of the year, in my opinion, who's having a career year, Norm Powell. Famous quote, addition by subtraction. And he was right. Because they are so much better off not having an overpaid star hit the side of the backboard. They didn't need that. They didn't need another season of that. They're very strong at center too with Zubats. You guys know I like my bigs. Zubats is like an ideal center that I would love to have on a team. He's been great for them. Good board, great on the block. Also really good in the pick and roll as well, which is why him and Harden have just a great connection. They've also added some seasoned veterans as well. Chris Dunn, didn't think I'd ever say that, but he's been really solid for them this year. Nick Batum, there's the memes, but you guys saw the documentary with the Olympics. There's a reason this guy still gets signed to teams. He's a great presence and a great veteran to have. DJJ, last year proved that he's a legit 3-and-D player on Dallas. He had an insane year, got a nice little contract with LA, and he's been amazing for them, as well as getting Bogey and, of course, big bro Ben Simmons. He probably won't be playing a whole lot in the playoffs, but he's there.
The mascot of GMLB.
Because I don't know, we've seen some revivals with the Clippers. I mean, I hate to say Harden looking like his old self because he's always been Harden, but Norm Powell breaking out, Harden playing great, Kawhi coming back great after injury. Maybe he can learn from them a little bit. Chris Dunn staying in the league somehow. I'll even say I feel like they're more complete and can be more dangerous than LA, the other LA, the Lakers.
Interesting.
Although they do have LeBron and Luka. I already know that's going to be the first comment people say, and they're going to say it like I'm an idiot and I don't know. Yes, I know. But outside of that, yes, of course, they probably have arguably the best third option in the league in Reeves. But Jackson Hayes is probably going to get played off the floor in the playoffs this year. And Lakers have been going small a lot, too. They've been running DFS instead of him, which is going to be interesting what they do in the T-Wolves series. By the way, like I said, dude, they're going to be a very surprising threat for a lot of teams. And I really like where they're going. I feel like this is one of the best chances they've had to actually go to the finals or conference finals than they had in past recent years.
Wow.
Bubble year was a solid time for them to make it. It was probably their best chance. But like I said, because they were rolling that year when they had just got Kawhi, but obviously COVID happened and threw a lot of things off. But this is like their best chance that they've had in a really long time. I really like where they're at. And I definitely think they can beat Denver in round one because Denver ended the season horribly, losing like 4 or 5 straight. And the best player in the league does not have a coach right now. And the last thing they needed was not having a coach because this is the worst supporting cast Jokic has ever had. So as much as it might pain me to say, I think LA beats them round one.
Okay. What about after, though?
What about after?
Can they win the
I already
next
said they're
series?
going to the finals. Well, it depends who they play. So the way it shakes out, so if the 5 beats the 4, they would probably play the winner of either the first seed or second seed. Let's say they play Houston next round. I think they can definitely beat Houston because they have
Yeah,
Go ahead.
that is I was gonna say, yeah, I agree. That could be
They
a
can
really fun upset series.
I
a
think they would.
100% beat Houston. Houston's only 2 games ahead of LA right now. They have 52 wins. LA has 50. But the reason why I like
50
that series so
wins.
much, the reason why I like that series so much is because LA is going to be able to D up. Houston has a horrible half court
They
offense.
they would play either the Thunder or the Warriors.
Either the Thunder or the Warriors.
So the Thunder.
Yeah, I was going to say
Actually, hold on.
they'll beat
Did
the
we
Warriors.
you think okay, you don't even think
Yeah.
there's a
Wait, wait.
shot.
No,
There's a
sorry,
shot.
not the Warriors. Sorry, Thunder or whoever wins the second game for the play-in tournament.
So
Who is
probably Memphis. Probably
so
Memphis.
yeah, so it'd be either Thunder or Memphis.
Memphis also doesn't have a coach. And they smoked game one of the play, and I really like the chances there. I think their experience is going to be a lot for them. Triple J's trash. But I guess honestly, the realistic question here is if they play OKC. Thing
Yeah.
is, with OKC last year being the 1 seed, they had a terrible second round matchup because the team they played unfortunately had Luka, Kyrie, and a bunch of people that really came together in a half season span, and they ended up going to the finals. We don't know if they have that playoff longevity yet, like we've seen like Utah in the past. How many times they were a 1 and 2 seed and just every time the playoffs came around. We don't know if that's going to be them or not. It could be. Like I said, when the OGs start locking up, I don't know. Those spin around mid range shots for Shea aren't going to be there as much. I'd love to see him try to hit it on Kawhi. He won't. So yeah, LA in 3 if they could.
So, what does that mean for I think the bigger story would be Kawhi, a healthy Kawhi is finally gonna rewrite his narrative that's been the last 5 seasons just full of injury. And then James Harden, potential finals run. That's the story
Huge.
of
He would
of this.
he
Yeah.
would get his first ring.
First ring.
If
I'm at
if they win.
they win too. Kawhi gets his third ring with the third team. That's pretty impressive. One with San
I,
Antonio, one with Toronto, has 2 finals MVPs. Gets that third ring. Why I keep
He
saying
would
ring. Third ring,
Ty
third
Lue,
finals MVP on 3 different teams. That's
I
pretty impressive.
I think he would get another Finals MVP. I don't think it would be Harden.
I mean, dude, the way Kawhi's playing right now, he looks kind of unstoppable. He's shooting
Yeah,
52% from the field as well. Well over 40% from three. I mean, it would have to be. He's gonna have to like probably average 30.
he's also
I,
a
s-
playoff riser too.
I saw a
He
meme.
is,
It
yeah,
was
he
like
comes through.
it was a meme of Kawhi like just hooping this season, and it was like I've never seen someone come back with a new knee and start freaking acting this like smooth and dominant.
Clearly, he's never played pickup at an LA Fitness. Whoever made that meme. I've seen a few OGs come back with new knees and be smooth with it. I ain't gonna
Not even
lie.
new knees. They got the same knees from '84 that's been beat up, working in the trades, and they'll still give you 11.
Lonzo has a new knee.
It's kind of BS. But either way, yeah, I'm in Harden. Like I said, offensive engine. He is the system, as you've said in the past.
James Harden, Olive Garden, presidential pardon, Lakers in 5.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, dude. I really like their chances. I think it's going to be fun. They're just as good as any other team. Just wish they had Kawhi the whole year. Actually, no, I'm probably not going to say that because with injuries and stuff. Maybe it was good to play him half the season.
Denver
But
upset would be absolutely insane. That would be a great start to the playoffs if the center who just averaged a triple double gets booted first round by James Harden and Kawhi Leonard. Who would have thought in 2025, like James Harden and Kawhi Leonard are still that team, and especially with Paul George leaving, I know everyone in their and their mother thought that they were going to be trash this year. And I do have to say, I do have to give an apology for Victor because we were sitting on my couch watching a Clippers game, and this man said, "The Clippers are a good team." And I said, "No, they're not." And he said, "They're fifth right now." And this was like in November. And I was like, "Yeah, but they're going to end in like the 10th spot." And I was just hating, bro. I was like, I don't see a world where this team is slightly successful. And I was wrong. I was very wrong. Zoo decided to have one of his best seasons ever. James Harden is back. Who would have thought James Harden was an all-star this year? Like, did anyone see that coming? James Harden, all-star?
He
That's
wasn't he
insane.
an all-star the previous year too? I'm pretty sure he was.
I
Was
don't
he
think
a
Dude,
was
I
so.
he a
remember
fill-in?
I'm gonna look it up, but I remember him being one, I think. No, he wasn't. Okay, it
Yeah, I
might
was
have
gonna
been
say
Paul
there's no
George. It was
way.
Paul George then that I'm thinking of, or maybe Kawhi too. Yeah, it
They
was both.
both were.
Yeah, they both were. Okay, that's what I was thinking of.
That's crazy.
So
Like
James Harden wasn't.
a team with James Harden on it is, I think let me double check this. Yeah, they're third in defensive rating right now, fifth in net rating. Like the team is just locks, bro. It's crazy. It literally out of nowhere, dude. Also
Yeah,
underrated depth. Like this team has depth.
super underrated.
But yeah, seeing James Harden potentially make like a Cinderella Twilight year run would be crazy. He's 35. So, and especially Kev, if it goes the way you said, where they crack the finals, that would be insane.
I think I did my thing. I won you guys.
I still think Denver's going to beat them. I wouldn't say you won me, but I do like the narrative. I like the storyline because
Who-
On that note, should I go into my Denver storyline? I think I have to.
send it.
Sorry, Victor.
I'm just
Yeah.
joking.
Um, yeah, there's about a million different storylines with this. And I know we're not really talking matchups necessarily, but with this Nuggets situation, with their matchup against the Clippers, um, first round of the playoffs is going to be fun, man. But I guess I'll start here with the change of coaching because that's probably the biggest change that we've seen or the most notable change. Um, David Adelman,
Adelman.
am I saying that right? Adelman,
Adelman.
yeah, instilled as the new coach, went on a 3-0 win streak. Doesn't really mean anything. the start the starters were out by the second quarter. So we haven't he hasn't really been tested. And I mean, I think it's in his best interest to try new things going into this matchup against arguably one of the best coaches in the league, in Ty Lue. I think that obviously he's going to have to put a lot of reliance on the best player in the NBA right now, in my opinion. Um, but
In everyone's opinion.
okay, well, fair enough. Should be, but
Yeah.
but and I guess when I think of a storyline and the storyline that I want to go with, it's probably how this new coach is going to approach the playing time of Russell Westbrook, Peyton Watson, as well as oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name.
Jordan
Hold on.
Strother.
No. Jalen Pickett actually.
Oh, Jalen
Because
Pickett. Yeah.
yeah.
Good call.
Um and I think the obvious choice here is to talk about Jamal Murray and what he's going to do, obviously coming off of that hamstring injury. But the truth is that I don't have a lot of faith in Jamal Murray. I don't have a lot of faith that he's going to come out swinging and he's going to do a lot to save this Denver team. Um, so that being said, we know that Russell Westbrook can hurt a team, and every single time that I've watched him play, I swear it's self sabotage at some point. I mean, and having this new coach come in, I think it's going to be really it's going to be really important for him to decide how often Russell Westbrook is coming onto that court because he really can hurt them. But besides that, giving young guys a chance as well is going to be key. Another thing here is the matchups. I think these matchups to me seem interesting just because when I look at who is going to be guarding Christian Braun, which a lot of people are saying could possibly be James Harden. If it is James Harden and Christian Braun beats him to
Brown.
the hole, what did someone say something?
Said Brown.
Clamp.
Oh yeah, you think
Clamp.
James Harden clamps?
Yes.
Okay. Well, if he doesn't, let's say, right, and Christian Braun is able to be an X
Brown.
factor, Braun. Wait,
Brown.
Brown?
It's
Brown.
Brown.
If Christian Brown, I can't say his name,
Brown.
Brown.
Brown. Just say brown, like the color.
Brown. If
Okay,
Christian
there you go.
Brown is able to be an X factor for this Nuggets team, and he's able to basically make Harden a liability on defense, what I'm imagining happening is Zubats having to basically give up some of those fouls and potentially foul out either once or twice in this series, which I think are key details here.
Good take.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it's a team effort. They need Aaron Gordon, who's shooting 47% right now as of the end of this season. They need him to basically just do his thing. He's been a good shooter as of late,
Mhm.
but they really need him to, continue that and not fall off a cliff when these playoffs start and when Jamal Murray inevitably, um, you know, can't hold up, honestly, which is what I foresee. So yeah, Aaron Gordon needs to be good. MPJ obviously needs to be good. Um, I think that this Nuggets team has real potential to make it out of this series. And I think that this getting out of this series will just prove so well for them because if they meet the Lakers potentially, right, at any point, well, Nuggets own the Lakers, so that's out of the way. Um, no, that would be a really good matchup, and I don't have to go into detail on why that's more complicated than me just saying that. But I think it goes in their favor going up against such a strong defensive team early in these rounds, and a team with so much experience in guys like Kawhi Leonard and James Harden. Um, and I think that it'll just bode well for them basically going into these later round of the playoffs if they face other teams. So Clippers is a really good testing point for the Nuggets. I think that if they get past this point, they could go far. How far? I don't want to make a call. I'm scared.
You knew
Um,
I was about to ask you that. How
yeah.
far?
Yeah. Without knowing what the future matchups are going to be, I don't know, but I like to think that the Nuggets, like I said, could go far. Um, and it'll just be interesting to see how each of those guys are able to play their role. I saw somebody say Christian Brown Ascension series. I don't know if I'm bought in completely, but it's possible. I do think that he's one of the bigger X factors, and like I said, um, how this new coach is going to sub these guys in because as we saw with Malone, it wasn't it was working, but it also wasn't. I guess at least that's what the front office thought. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. And MPJ's what I've seen is a very big proving series for him too, because he's potentially one of the names that are on the chopping block for this offseason if this doesn't go their way.
What's crazy for me is the foresight of letting KCP go for Christian Brown and how well that's actually worked out for them. Because KCP has had a very down year this year. And I'm speaking of this because last night, at the time of recording, was the Orlando first playing game. And dude was bricks the whole night. And
Dang.
it was kind of an amalgamation of his entire season. So the foresight was great on their part. So I will give him credit there. The other thing I wanted to say is the foul trouble was actually a really good insight. I don't think Christian Brown is as much of a threat as you let on, especially in a playoff series, but he can be an X factor. Because if he gets hot, let's say he has a game where he hits four threes, right? That's going to sway an entire game because I know Tyronn Lue is not game planning for you're playing Nikola Jokic. You have to double the post. And someone is going to have to be left open. It's not going to be Aaron Gordon, who has the best 3-point shooting numbers of his career. It's not going to be Michael Never Swing the Rock Porter Jr. It's not going to be Jamal Murray, who's a notorious playoff riser. It's going to have to be Christian Brown. So he's going to be the X factor. But let's say Zoo does get in foul trouble. That's actually bad news for the Nuggets because that means Drew Eubanks checks in.
We'll take it.
Yeah, I mean,
I was waiting for someone to laugh or something. No one responded to that.
We'll take it.
I just thought maybe you knew something that I didn't.
No.
I don't
He
know if
was
I
the
was like,
Achilles heel of Nikola Jokic. Um, no, I mean on that topic, of Zubats, I did see a comment that someone left, which is kind of on the topic of Kevin's Clippers, which is during the bubble, Ivica Zubats like expressed extreme concern or discomfort from the fact that Doc was playing Montrezl Harrell over him, and then Jokic basically cooked him. So this is kind of a second chance for Zubac, who I do expect to limit the amount of shots that Jokic gets. Um, Apparently, in the matchups this season versus each other, Jokic only posts up 11 times compared to like what he usually does, which is over 20 in I think the series. So
Interesting.
yeah, I mean what I've been seeing, the consensus that I've been seeing is that Zubats is the best matchup or the best test possible for Jokic going into this Western Conference playoffs. And if he can get past this, well, it's bad news for anyone else that tries to go up against him. So if he can win that matchup, which I expect the best player in the league to do, we
Yeah.
could be looking at a Zubats, Zubats, Ugats, lollipops, nuggets in five. Sure.
We'll say it is kind of obviously Jokic is amazing on the block, but where they don't need him to absolutely dominate is playmaking. Because with having little bit of a bigger test and a bigger body on the block, it's kind of not force him, but he might feel a little bit more comfortable playing in the mid post and playing out a little bit more. If Jokic gets 30 to 40 points, who cares? He's going to do that. What you can't let him get is 18 assists. If you let him get 10, if you hold him to 10, 11, 12, fine.
That's
He
crazy.
found some backdoor cuts. That's good. If we let this dude snap off for anywhere from like 16 to 20 assists, that means everyone else is going, which is not at all what the Clippers are going to need.
Uh,
Because, like
uh,
Miles said, Jamal Murray being pretty dang solid in the playoffs throughout his career. I mean, this dude's had the 30-point games. He's had the game winners. He's done it all. Michael Porter Jr. is himself. He's shooting it. Gordon on the backdoor cuts. He's been a great shooter this year as well. It's going to be important. So I'm assuming Ty Lue, being the coaching genius he is, just limit everybody else. Obviously, yes, we're game planning for Jokic because he is the team. He is the MVP of the league to me and to you guys,
Mhm.
to a lot of people. But he's going to do his thing regardless. What you can't let him do is dominate the playmaking. It's not an easy
um,
task because I don't know how the heck you can approach that, but that's why I'm not a coach or in the league.
yeah,
So
on
what's the storyline here, Daniel? You gave us a playoff outlook. So what's the actual storyline here?
I think the storyline that I was going with is how this new coach in David Adelman, um, can basically play these guys that Malone didn't really understand how to play necessarily. Or basically, not even, I don't even have to go against Malone, but how is he going to play these guys, basically?
I have a
Because I
better
think,
one.
What about like
I have a better story.
I
Jokic
don't.
maybe becoming like top 10 all time, winning a second ring, sitting here talking about the freaking interim head coach. Who gives a crap?
Yeah,
or
I don't think it was, dude. I don't think it was Malone necessarily didn't know how to coach them. I think it was just like there was a whole bunch of drama behind the scenes. Let's be honest. Um, but I wanted to say I think one of the biggest storylines is if Jokic wins a title with Michael Malone getting fired like a week before the playoffs. That's probably never been done before. He's going to take a assistant head coach to the finals, potentially win, and then, like Kevin said, cement his legacy as like maybe a top 10 player all time.
yeah, I think why I was hesitant to really go with that is because, truth be told, I don't even think like, I don't think that that's very realistic.
I kind
Which
of
it,
think he's also already a top 10 player of all time. If
Let's
especially if he wins MVP this year.
I was gonna say 4 MVPs, 2 rings, averaged a triple double as a center. Yes, he's top
yeah,
10 all
he's
time.
top 10.
Like is he better than like David Robinson already? Probably.
I would,
Yeah,
I would say
yes.
so.
Is he Hakeem only has 2 rings. I guess he's got more depoys, but is
Yeah, I
he
was gonna say.
he's pretty much coming up on Hakeem now, if not already passed. Now, I don't want to disrespect Hakeem because Hakeem's thing was defense, so that's like kind of different. But he's getting there. Shaq, he's not better than Shaq yet. He's
Not
not
yet, no.
better. He's not better than Kareem yet. So I'd say those are really the only two like centers that I know for sure he hasn't surpassed yet. If he hasn't
Yeah,
passed Hakeem, Kevin, I know you love Hakeem. I like Hakeem too. If he hasn't done it yet, he's definitely he's going to do it by the end of his career.
I think one more MVP or one more ring will like do that for sure.
Yeah.
Dude,
Put him
it
ahead of
would,
Hakeem because Hakeem, I think he has 1 MVP. Might have two. I think it's only one. So he's already got him on MVPs, one behind on rings. Yeah, there's the depoys, but this dude's putting up triple doubles, dude.
Yeah.
He put up a 30 in 2020 game. He put up the highest scoring triple double of all time. Like it's keep those honestly.
dude, it would be so insane if he won the finals this year, just after like the season that they've had. It would be so impressive. And I did see something the other day. It was like Nikola Jokic's stat lines from this season, and it was like, yes, these are all real. And it was just like 20 lines of like ridiculous games he's had this season. And me and Miles were like ranking the top 5 performances last week. And we ended up forgetting the 30-20-20 game because he's just had so many great performances. You can't even keep up with it.
Yeah. My thing, before we get too far from this, I think it's almost a bigger storyline if they underperform and lose than if they won. Because Denver is like if they don't make the conference finals, I think you need to be very worried about how their roster is going to shake up. They're going to have a brand new GM coming in replacing Calvin Booth, and no one knows what happened. Like when you get a new GM, usually they swing for the fence. You hire a new GM to rebuild your roster, right? Otherwise, why would you fire your GM if you're just going to do the same thing? So if they underperform, like you said, Daniel, I think Michael Porter Jr. is gone. Jokic is going to have a pretty much brand new supporting cast. It may be better, it may be worse. We really don't know what's going to happen. Also, Jokic, I'm sure you guys have seen the video, has expressed massive frustrations towards the end of the season when they were underperforming. You have the head coaching situation. I just think if they underperform in this playoffs, it's going to be a dumpster fire of like of a team. Like just all the things that are culminating and brewing right now are banking on this playoff run. So yes, it'd be big if they won, but if they underperform with the best player in the league, one of the greatest players of all time, like I don't think we're going to see anything resembling the same Nuggets team that we saw this playoffs run come the beginning of next season.
I After giving it some thought, I think if I had to like give what I was saying a storyline, it would be and because of what I said, which is that I lack faith that they can pull it off, it would be can this Nuggets core win despite the franchise basically not having faith in them? Because I think firing your head coach this late in the season, like you said, it's the kind of move that says, okay, we don't have high expectations for this off seasons, right? I mean, it would be impossible for them to put that much pressure on the team that they have right now. So to me, it's clear that the organization basically made a statement and said, "Yeah, we're going to see how this goes and see how deep this team can go, so we can root out the problems, and then we'll make the changes that we need to." So I guess that's the storyline that I would go with, which is can this core win despite that happening and despite their franchise not really um, letting them kind of finish this season out and prove that they could win.
No,
Okay.
Jokic. No, I'm just
Why
playing.
did you,
I'm
why'd you
just
just
playing.
submit? He was like, okay.
Okay.
All right, Vic, you're up to bat. Go
Denver
ahead and give
Nuggets,
us your Shea. Go ahead and give us your Shea storyline.
Oh, two's
Denver
the
Nug
count.
Denver Nuggets, Chicken Nuggets, McNuggets, Lakers in five. All right, but on a more serious note, um, so with a team that has honestly just been one of the like most entertaining teams to watch after games, and everybody sees them doing their interviews, I decided to go with the Oklahoma City Thunder. They ended the regular season with a 68-14 record, best record in the NBA. They've had the best defense this season by far, and they also set an NBA record for the highest scoring differential in a season with 12.9, and the previous record was the 1971-72 Lakers. And like I think the top five all won a championship with having the highest differentials. Some of the teams included the 95-96 Bulls, Warriors. Don't ask me the other teams because I forgot. But they would
You
also
should have
be
just said etc.
anyways, they would be the second youngest team in NBA history to win a championship. And I think that would prove a lot for them because last season we saw them lose in the second round. They had that was their first time as a team going to the playoffs, getting that experience. Now this year they come back, they had that experience. They know what the playoff atmosphere is like. They're gonna try to go for it all this season. And I mean, we've seen what SGA has been putting up this season. He's putting up an MVP caliber season. A lot of people think he should. A lot of people think he shouldn't. I'm not going to get into that right now, but I think if they do go to finals, they become the second youngest team in NBA history to win. SGA would probably win Finals MVP. Um, it would just do a lot for his legacy and for the team. Like just seeing this team be so young and them having that bright of a future ahead of them is pretty awesome to see what Sam Presti did with that Paul George trade.
Yeah. I mean, this team's going to be around for a while. They're just super young through and through. I mean, Caruso being their oldest player, and he's like, what, 31? Like,
I think
this team's going to be around for a while. Let's say they do win a ring this year. There's potential we could see them repeat, maybe even three-peat, win however many of the next five. It doesn't matter. Like, winning one this year will get that ball rolling, and it could be another dynasty. Could have another dynasty on our hand. It's kind of scary to think about. Remember, shout out Ball Game Pod. They did Ask ChatGPT to predict the next five NBA champions. I want to say they had the Thunder repeating in like one of those years. I think they had like the Thunder winning this year. No, they didn't have him repeating, but they had him winning twice in 5 years. Now it's ChatGPT. That doesn't matter. But like I said, it gets that ball rolling and show them that they have that confidence, kind of prove us wrong, knowing that they're not just another Utah Jazz. No, this team actually can play. And yeah, potential dynasty. That'd be massive for them.
Hmm. There's no way they can keep all their players though
That's
when the time comes.
that's what I was
You
just
know,
about to say.
so Isaiah Joe's probably going to be the first one to go, unfortunately.
Yeah, Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Joe,
I think it might
one
even be
har
J-Dub.
You
No,
think Jada? No,
What
no,
one
they're going
one
to
of
keep
their
Jada.
starting five players is gonna have to go with the CBA rules, man. There's no way they're gonna be able to pay that starting five.
And you said Jada, but not Lou Dort.
Well,
You said J Dub's leaving.
who just became an all-star and is gonna be demanding more money? J-Dub or Lou Dort?
We saw the Celtics give two guys $600 million and they still have the full team,
Yeah.
dude. They're fine.
Yeah,
Like they're not broke. Like the Celtics spent $600 million on two players and they still have the starting five. It's gonna be
Yeah.
it's gonna be a couple role players. But that's why you draft and develop, and that's why they have all those picks.
yeah, and they've
Still,
been killing it in the draft too.
I know.
And the thing is they're only going to get better. So it's like, yeah, they're going to demand this money, but they're like going to be way better players by the time that that contract expires. Like Jalen Williams is, how old is Jalen Williams? Like 23, maybe something like
Pretty sure,
that.
pretty sure he's still on a rookie deal.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, he's going to be
He's
demanding money,
24.
but like by the time by the time that contract expires, he's going to be a repeating all-star, potentially a champion. Chet as well. Like your core, Shea, J-Dub, and Chet, like you have your core and they're on rookie contracts. Like that is crazy. That is insane. But yeah, I think Aaron Wiggins and Isaiah Joe will probably be the ones to leave because those are the guys that they can't afford to pay because you're going to pay your stars first. Also, I don't know what Alex Caruso's contract is. Same with like Isaiah Hartenstein. I know they just signed Hartenstein, so they have him locked up for a while. But when the time comes, he's only getting better too. That might be, by the time it's time to re-sign him, that might be a guy who they can't pay. Similar to the Knicks, like the same exact situation he was in on the Knicks, where they just paid everyone else. They don't have any money left to pay him. Um, so they need the storyline is, like you said, this is let's be the second youngest team to ever win a championship, and let's just milk this thing for as long as we can. Because love it or hate it, they are a small market franchise. So you're only going to recruit so much talent that isn't coming from the draft. Not saying Oklahoma City is a bad place to be because we saw Paul George go there, we saw Carmelo Anthony go there, um, but it's not a place where you typically see the top tier talent go. So yeah, let's milk everything we have. This playoffs is going to be their go-to run. This is going to define who the Thunder are, what their roster is going to look like. And this is potentially like this, like you said, Vic, this could be the start to a very serious dynasty. So this could be the next team that other teams are building a roster to beat, similar to the Celtics last year. It's like every team's offseason moves catered to beating the Celtics. Now the Thunder might be that team because they're so much more dangerous than anyone expected them to be, and it's with homegrown talent. It's not with recruited talent. So,
One of them's recruited.
who?
Hartenstein.
Hardenstein's not who I'm referring to. I'm referring to Chet, Jalen Williams, and Shea. Shea technically was traded, but he was traded at such a young age, so it's like I don't
I
really
don't.
count that
I,
as like being poached.
yeah. Oh,
Um, the other thing is they have like t talent coming in. Like I believe they have a top pick this year. No, they have a
yeah.
top draft pick this year.
I
They
think they.
also still have Nikola Topic, who literally hasn't played at all. They got Usman Jiang. Yeah. They have a bunch of guys who like can easily slot in. AJ Mitchell, Dylan Jones, like they just got very solid role players who found pretty, I wouldn't say significant, but meaningful minutes this season. So when those role players, Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins, obviously those are gold tier role players. When they're ready to sign elsewhere for more money, um, I'm about 99% sure that the Thunder have the role players to just slot in and replace them. And we could just keep doing this because they're so good at drafting. So, and we're already seeing these guys like get minutes in a rotation where you have these gold standard role players. So it's like these guys are already breaking into the rotation. I'm sure they have contingency plans for when their current gold role players are getting poached by other teams.
I do got a question for you guys. So this might be a little bit heated depending on what your guys' thoughts are on it. So if the Thunder do win the championship and SGA gets Finals MVP, where would he rank in the world? Or would he even be in that conversation to you guys?
When you say in the world, do you mean like in the league?
I mean, like top players in the world, like how Nikola Jokic is the best player in the world. Where
Well,
would
all
you
the
put
best
him?
players in the world play in the NBA.
For sure, I know, but I feel like never mind. Just yeah, just go with it. Where
Um,
where where would you rank him?
Mm, I still think Jokic and Giannis are for sure above him. Um, is Luca still above him? I think Tatum is still a better player than him. Are we talking like resume wise or just like strictly as a player? Because
I'm
I think
saying
Tatum actually beats him resume wise as well.
I'm saying like top five in the NBA. Like where? Because I feel like it's Jokic, Giannis. It used to be Luca, but after the season, it's been like, uh, and then
I
Embiid used to be in that race too, but his season this year was not up to par.
I
Yeah,
think
I'd probably say, oh, sorry. I'll
you
probably say Jokic, Giannis, Tatum, him, then Luca. Still would be mine. I think he jumps Luca
Yeah, he'll
if he
jump
gets a
Luca.
chip.
You can debate top three. I might put him at third, but for sure top five.
I don't know. I don't think for me at least it would change much depending on he would need to do a lot for me to move him up, which like he's already one of the top players in the league, obviously. But like I think him going, averaging 25 or 28 throughout this series wouldn't necessarily be like something that I'd be like, okay, yeah, he's one of the best players in the league. Because I would imagine that to make that possible, there would obviously be some other players that would be heavily involved in him winning that. I don't unless Shea like again drops like starts averaging 35 or something. Um, yeah, I don't see him going up very high on my list. I would still probably rank him like behind behind Luca probably.
So y'all giving no love to Tatum? Y'all don't think Tatum's a better player than Shea?
I think so.
Mm. I think they're interchangeable at 4 and 5. I think Luca's like sixth right now, if I'm being completely honest. Right
Who is
now.
it?
Saying like right
Y
now in this moment.
Jokic, Jokic, Giannis, Shea, Tatum. Who's the other one before him?
So Jokic, Giannis. And who is third?
It's got to be Tatum. Tatum's the third best in the NBA.
Giannis. It doesn't gotta be Tatum. Jokic, Giannis, Shea, Tatum.
Tatum already got the chip. Y'all
It's
saying
true.
if Shea wins the chip, is he top three? Tatum already won.
I said he was top five. And I had Tatum at top five when they won the chip too.
It's crazy because
Honestly, I'm not
before
sure.
the chip, you were not saying this about Tatum. You were even saying that he wasn't a superstar.
Yeah,
Who,
you're
me?
right. But my narrative is flipped. My narrative has flipped drastically since that moment.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with Kevin. I think if Shea won a championship, him and Tatum would be pretty interchangeable.
I just
I
think
guess
Tatum has more longevity. And yes, he's older, but like he's been the best, like a top five player for like four or five seasons now. This is Shea's like first season being in that conversation.
Shea's
Not
goaded at the
really.
free throw line.
he
This
was
is like
MVP runner up
recency
last year.
bias. So second season. Tatum's also in all of those MVP conversations though.
He was never top
It's
30.
it's been like this for 3 seasons in a row. He's been averaging 30 past 3 seasons.
I think it just kind of just depends on like how you like judge a top player in the league. To me, it's a little bit more than scoring. So in
Yeah, I
hindsight,
was gonna say
I probably would put Tatum above him.
yeah, averaging 30 doesn't mean you're better than Tatum. That just
I
means
w-
you
I w-
score more.
I wasn't saying that. I
No,
was
I
saying
was.
I was just saying that because you said this is recency bias, and I was saying that he's been doing this for 3 years.
I think Shea's age kind of surprises people sometimes. I think they see him as being like 22, and I was like, nah, bro, I was like 26. Slightly late. Late bloomer is even a stretch saying that. It's just we've
Yeah.
seen players just automatically come in the league and snap at like 19. I feel like he's on probably like ahead of pace for being completely honest, but I don't know. Like I
Mhm.
said, people judge best player in the league in many different ways. I'm just looking at people saying like Shea's got to win MVP this year, right? And I was like, I don't think so. No hate to any of these guys. There's just too much talent. It's hard to rank.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because like, is Embiid still like top five, even though he's like hurt? Because
That's what I'm saying.
healthy,
If it's healthy, it's like a different story.
I know, but it's just so because I usually just rank it like in the moment, right now.
Hmm. Right now, I think
That's
I
how I
would
do it.
do Jokic, Giannis, SGA, Tatum, Luca.
I feel like Shea might be better than Luca right now.
That's what I said.
In what way is
Oh,
Shea better than Tatum right now besides scoring? I think I must be missing something. Tatum checks every box, every other box. He's a better passer, he's a better rebounder. He's already won repeated all NBA first team, repeated conference finals, repeated like success, best player on not the best team in the league this season, but for those past seasons. Like, am I missing? Like, how is Shea better other than scoring?
top five players win Finals MVPs. I'm just kidding. I said Tatum was better, so he's talking to you, Vic,
Shout out Iguodala. I'll always bring up that silver bullet. Curry didn't win Finals MVP his first run.
or his second or third.
I also agree, by the way, with the Tatum take.
I don't know. I just feel like with what SGA has been doing recently and this season, it's has been impressive. And I do like Tatum a lot. I'm not gonna lie, it's close. But the fact that SGA is higher in MVP ranking, his team is number one in the West, I think plays a lot of that factor. And I can't remember the exact plus minus. I know that doesn't matter too much, but with him on the court, it's significant. I just I know if you take SGA off too, if you take him off the Thunder, they're a great team as well. So that really takes away from what I just said.
Even
Um,
though we won
uh,
last season, we
well,
won the chip already. I feel like a lot of this is contingent on what the Thunder are going to do. The Celtics already did that.
what I do want to clarify with the whole SGA thing on how many points he scores makes me think he could be better than Tatum. If he if he were to separate himself on that Thunder team as like the reason why they won, I think that's why I would put him above Tatum, as in like scoring, 35, 40, or like basically just shooting the other team out of the gym with his offense. I think that would make me be like, okay, maybe he's better than Tatum. But right now, I would not say that.
All right, we can come back to that. We got one more. We got one more playoff storyline.
You didn't want to go last, did you?
He did.
I literally started the episode saying I wanted to go last.
Oh, I thought you said you didn't want to. Before we
I
move
don't
on,
think. What was that?
we should play Pictionary on an episode. Can you guys guess what this is?
It's
Or
SGA at
better
the
yet,
free
who
throw
this
line.
is?
2 free throws coming up for SGA. If I had a penny for every time I heard that, oh man,
At the free throw line.
SGA coming up to shoot 2. All right, here's the last playoff storyline. There is one team above all other teams that have so much more pressure to perform than any other team. Does anybody know what team that is?
What
Not the
about
one you're talking
Celtics?
about.
The Indiana Pacers.
Well, I already told Kevin, so Kevin, you can't guess. So we we got the Indiana Pacers and the Boston Celtics. And no, the Boston Celtics actually do not have any pressure. And that's exactly why I think they're going to win. They have no expectation to meet. They already won. Basically, this is just repeating.
Under promise,
The,
over
all
deliver.
I would say the Thunder have much more pressure than the Celtics. But it's not the Indiana Pacers either, because they'll always be stuck in mediocrity, unfortunately, even though these are fun seasons. uh, it's the Memphis Grizzlies. And let me tell you why. Ja Morant was drafted in 2019. Okay. I would say, I think everyone would agree that that was the turning point of the Memphis Grizzlies franchise, the moment they drafted Ja Morant. 2020, 2019, 2020, Ja Morant's first season did not qualify for playoffs. 2021, lost to the Jazz 4-1 in the first round. 2022, lost to the lost to the Warriors 4-2 in the second round. 2023, lost to the Lakers 2-4 in the first round. 2024 did not qualify. Ja Morant involved in gun controversies and later a shoulder injury. 2025, here we are. Everyone's healthy. Let's do it big this year. Play-in tournament. What a fall off to expectations. This was a team that when they played the Warriors in that second round in 2022, everyone was like, this team is coming back. Let Ja develop. Let this roster develop. Bane, fringe all-star. Jaren Jackson Jr., all-star this year. This team is coming around. They have so much talent. They have arguably the most depth in the league, right? You got Santi Aldama, Scottie Pippen Jr., Brandon Clark, and the list goes on. The list goes on. They had so much depth, they had to trade pieces just because they couldn't pay everyone. Shout out Marcus Smart. Shout out Jake LaRavia. Like this team was playing like a 14-man rotation at one point. But, fellas, it just hasn't worked out. It simply has not worked out. We've seen the controversies. Desmond Bane and Santi Aldama getting into it on the bench. Ja Morant, the leadership is being questioned. How many times is this guy going to do a gun celebration before he realizes that the NBA just doesn't like guns? Like, bro, just stop. How about we just don't do the gun celebration anymore? Yeah, and then he's like, all right, let me throw a grenade. It was kind of tough. I do like the celebration, but it is
that is so
petty.
sick.
It is petty.
I'm not gonna lie, that
So
is so sick.
they go out, they get the most promising rookie besides Stephon Castle, Jalen Wells, who was leading the league in rookie of the year race for like the first 4 months of the league, first 4 months of the season. Jalen Wells, unfortunately, goes down with an injury. We hope he gets better soon. But let's jump into some stats here. This season, 21st in defensive rebounding. Kevin, how much of that is due to Jaren Jackson Jr.?
0.
Bro does not rebound the basketball. Post All-Star break, 20th in defensive rating, falling off a cliff for a team that has Desmond Bane, Defensive Player of the Year last year, Jaren Jackson Jr. I'm sorry, 2 years ago, Jaren Jackson Jr., Jalen Wells, one of the best 3-and-D players in the league as a rookie. They had Jake LaRavia, I guess not past All-Star break. Yeah, I guess that one doesn't really count. But you get the picture here. 17.4 turnovers per game. That's good for 29th in the league. There's only one other team that's worse at turning the ball over. Shout out John Moran. I wonder how much of that is him. Finished the season 4-6 in the last 10 games and fired Taylor Jenkins, the most winningest coach in Memphis Grizzlies history. Fellas, it is a train wreck. It is a train wreck in Memphis. Absolute train wreck. They hovered around the 2 seed. They were the 2 seed for like 80% of the season just to fall into the play-in. And at the time of recording, they lost their first play-in game. They are literally they're one loss away from not making the playoffs, despite being at full health. Their stars are at full health. So it's like, how much pressure is on the Grizzlies to decide what to do with this team? Is Ja Morant a winning player? That's the narrative I'm pushing here. Is Ja Morant actually the guy? This playoff run is going to determine it. Ja Morant is amazing in the playoffs. He's averaging almost a triple-double in his playoffs. But the team just doesn't succeed. And I don't think it's like the roster's fault. They have good rosters. They've had good rosters. This is not working. There's going to be a giant shakeup similar to the Nuggets. This playoff run is going to determine pretty much what the roster is going to look like next year, except the Nuggets are at least a 5th seed. Memphis technically didn't even make the playoffs yet. It is insane to think that since 2019, this team has had so much potential. You would ask people, who's the most up-and-coming team in the league? Before the Thunder last season, it was always the Grizzlies. And even after the Thunder last season and this season, it probably was still the Grizzlies. And they proved it early in the season. This team is going to be one of the best teams in the West. They check all the boxes, but they simply do not win games. Fellas, there is no other team in this playoffs that has more pressure to win. Because if they don't, we might have to throw a grenade on the Grizzlies franchise and roster because they're going to blow it up probably. I'm really interested to see how this playoffs goes for them.
Funny
Yeah.
because they started the season like so good, and everybody was like, "This team is so deep," and it has just been a train wreck after like the All-Star break.
They don't have a leader. Who is the leader? Who's the voice? They simply don't have one. Like, yeah, you can win all the games like during the regular season, but towards the end, which is when they fell off, and there's a lot of teams that start picking it up a little bit. I've used this reference 100 times. When the OGs start sitting in the chair, they don't care about games in November. That's so secondary. There's no leader. I don't know if coaching was really the biggest issue here. I feel like they kind of have a decent amount of crash outs on the team too. I like Desmond Bane, but I don't know. Sometimes I want to smack him on the back of the head just because he's actually like a bad kid. Same with John Morant. But yeah, I mean, there's no leader. It's very similar to like, I guess not that similar, but like with Philly, just the process. Never made it past the second round. Sacramento, a couple of years ago when they lost to the Warriors in round 1, but they took them to 7. People were like, yo, watch out for Sacramento. They're back. Actually, they're here because they were never here. Like they're basically like a brand new team. Now they have DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine. Lucky them, huh? I just feel like they're just another one of those teams, to be completely honest with you. No leader. They know what they want to do, but they just can't.
Miles,
I would. Oh, go ahead, Vic.
What?
Dude, do you remember when we were at that Pacers game in the ECF for the Boston Celtics versus them?
Hmm.
Do you remember because Kevin just said sometimes I want to smack him in the back of the head. Do you remember when that old guy that was sitting next to us was just like Siakam like missed a shot? He's like, man, go smack him in the back of the head.
Yeah, that guy was really
Dude,
mad at Miles Turner
or
for
it was
some
Miles
reason.
Turner. Yeah, that too.
But yeah, I mean, that's a good point though, because like Desmond Bain acts like a really bad kid, but he has freckles. So it's just so like ironic. He just
Oh,
looks like so
jeez.
he just looks so like he looks like a kid because I don't know, dude. He just looks like he like would never hurt a fly because he's got
Yeah, like
freckles.
do one of those to him.
He's like one of those kids where you're like, Desmond, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. Like that's what it is
But
with Desmond Payne. Oh,
Like I want to take his PSP.
his Nintendo DS.
um, yeah, I mean, I agree with everything that you guys are saying. I guess when I look at the situation in Memphis, I really chalk it up to I think just timing. Um, like you said, Miles, since 2019, they've kind of been on the cusp of something great, never quite achieving it. And I think I don't know what it is. It's either maybe the John Morant situation killed them, um, and allowed the league to basically get stronger. Because a lot of times I think what comes down to it is how much momentum can you carry into the next year, right? How that series against the Warriors, I remember like devastated. Um, Grizzlies fans. And I remember that being, a big moment because like you said, yeah, they were supposed to be there next year. Um and I think with the whole John Morant situation setting them back, it just gave the league another year to let more good rookies in the league, to let teams get better, to let trades go through that made teams stronger. And ultimately, I think they just missed their chance to capitalize on John Morant and him being unique, I guess, because now the league's best teams have had time to process what John Morant does and create at least a game plan that let's say is more successful now than it was a few years ago. And I think that's all it kind of chalked up to be in my opinion is they lost the time they lost the ability to capitalize on when they could win, and now they have to blow it up.
Hey, we
I
find in the West.
Similar to OKC too, they're not a big market team. Not a lot of whole players are looking to move to Memphis.
KD
Sorry.
said or Jimmy Butler said he didn't want to go there.
And that's the
Exactly.
hardest dude
That
in the league. Even
yeah.
he don't want to go to Memphis.
It's like no one wants to go there and just deal with the freaking characters and personas over there.
I
Would
think
suck.
Jimmy Butler just didn't want to go there because he felt like probably there was a lot of kids on that team.
Yeah, it'd be like the
And
Timberwolves all over again.
yeah, because it seems like Jimmy Butler's like all about business right now.
Not
But
getting any younger.
I want to say something to Kevin's earlier point where he was saying like there's like hasn't been a leader. Who is it? I feel like it's been Jaren Jackson this year. He's been playing pretty good, and I think he's what is he like top three in defensive player of the year right now? And what were you say, Kevin?
I was gonna say, yeah, he's playing good, but like
Mhm.
a lot of people play good.
For sure.
Like just because you're playing good, it doesn't
Yeah.
mean like you're a leader. They don't have
But
a
That's
voice
yeah.
yeah,
That's what
on
I
the
was
team.
gonna say. I was gonna say best player doesn't mean leader.
for sure.
Because
No,
like Al Horford's probably the leader of the Celtics,
yeah,
I would say.
for sure. I wasn't trying
Rozier.
to say he was like the leader or anything. I was just saying like he's been the better player when a lot of people in Memphis and like fans of the NBA have thought it was John Morant that's his team or whatever, but it seems almost like he's been regressing a little bit. And he's been going away from that like athletic style of play. Like he's not dunking as much. He's still getting injured. I think he just got injured last night too.
He came
But
back
he
though.
but he did come back. But it's just like How are we going to see him healthy in the future? And I don't know.
And his man, players
Yeah.
fall in love with the jumper.
Except John Morant's jumper looks so funny. But yeah, now we got Tomas. Your guess is as good as mine on the last name. I know there's an I and an L in there somewhere. I don't remember what it was, but yeah, the adjustment. I don't think it's gonna go good for them. The adjustment that was made last night was putting Zach Edey on Jimmy Butler. I don't know how you even get to that point because Zach Edey got abused the entire first half. And seriously, like we said, Darvin Ham was overthinking for the Lakers. Bro, that was overthinking. Why are we putting Zach Edey on Jimmy Butler? I know he can't shoot threes well. Okay. But it's Zach Edey. Like, bro, you're putting the slowest guy on the court on a like Hall of Fame player. I don't care that he's 35. Like the dude's gonna beat you. And he did. He took 80 to the rim like every possession. So it's like, okay, so we're not stopping him from shooting threes, but we're also not stopping him from just taking our 7'4" center to the basket. So what exactly is the game plan here? Why was Jaren Jackson Jr. not guarding Jimmy Butler? Oh, yeah, that's right, because Jaren Jackson Jr. fouls and he's going to get in foul trouble in every big game. So it's like, I just don't know why that adjustment was made. And actually, this wasn't even technically an adjustment. This was the game plan. This was how the game started. Every possession, it's Zach Edey stepping up to guard Jimmy Butler on the wing. It's just, I don't understand why that decision was made. And if that's how this postseason is going to go, then I don't know, man. I'm pretty sure Memphis won't even be in the playoffs because that was bad. Also, the refs let them back into the game. That was an absolute blowout by the Warriors, and the refs completely swayed that game to help the Grizzlies and make it come down to crunch time. So, horrible calls in the second half of that game. It was just like the Grizzlies got all the help they could have got. They did it to themselves.
Yeah, dude, Triple J does foul a lot. It makes me so mad. It's
Mhm.
like, dude, relax. And like just with Edie guarding Jimmy Butler, you're taking him out the paint.
Yeah.
You're doing that. It's I don't know. That didn't make any sense. I was watching that and I was like, oh geez, this is gonna be phenomenal to watch.
I had a friend text me and they're like they don't follow the NBA too closely, but they do follow players out of college. And he was like, dude, Zach Edey looks really bad right now. And I was like, it's not even his fault. It's like, why is he guarding Jimmy Butler on the wing? It's like, what is he supposed to do?
Yeah. Who else is he gonna guard though, dude? Honestly, they shouldn't even play him. I'm gonna be honest. He can't guard Quinton Post. He bangs threes. He hit like it seemed like he hit like 19 of them last night. He can't
Yeah.
stretch.
I was gonna say, like, maybe you just don't start Zach Edey. Maybe you put Triple J at the 5 and start Aldama at that point. Or
Yeah.
like you could put
Size wise, he'll match up with the Warriors too.
Zach Edey is also like did Post I can't remember. Post started last night, right?
I don't think he did.
Because I know that their main lineup towards the end of the season, they were playing small ball with Draymond. So it's like hypothetically, if they started that small ball lineup, you just put Zach Edey on Draymond Green. And like, because that guy, yes, he's not the greatest 3-point shooter either, but he's not going to beat you at the rim like Jimmy Butler is. So it's like,
Yeah.
that would probably be the trade-off. Um, but then again, John Morant guarding, I think they had Bane on Curry. And then
Draymond
John
center.
Morant was guarding John Morant was guarding Pods. And then I'm just trying to think of the matchups. Doing this on the spot sucks. Edie was on Jimmy Butler. Moody was that Triple J? I don't know. I don't remember the exact matchups. I'd have to look them up, but
I don't know why they have Triple
all
J
I know
guarding Moody.
is yeah, I was gonna say there that doesn't sound right, so I'm not gonna sit here and ponder on it. But
No, you're probably right.
Yeah. It was just like, why are we overthinking defense? Put the reigning 2 years ago defensive player of the year on probably Jimmy Butler. Yeah, an extremely versatile big who can bother him at the rim and close out. Like, why are we overthinking this?
Yeah. Yeah, the Warriors did go with a small ball lineup. It was Curry, Pods, Moody, Butler, and Draymond. Quentin posts off the bench. Trace Jackson Davis doesn't play anymore.
Yeah, so they're like, I guess the Grizzlies were like, we're gonna beat you with Edie on the inside, but Zach Edey's a rookie, and even though he's 7'4", he still has to deal with Draymond Green. So it's like, I don't think we're actually winning that matchup.
No, absolutely not.
And he's garbage.
Yeah, and also you're like the fifth option as well. So it's like we're not really gonna try to find you.
We're not looking.
So it's like we're not really looking like that's not the matchup we want. Therefore, why are we even trying
Yeah,
to do
I
that?
don't know. I don't know why they started Zach Edey. That's just so stupid. And so they're either going to play Sacramento or Dallas next. Edey's not guarding either of those bigs. He's not guarding AD.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they missed the playoffs.
Dude, they better not, because I'm halfway into
I really think they will, because they're probably going to put they're not even going to put Edey on AD. They're going to put him on PJ Washington if they play Dallas. Who's to stop them?
I'm halfway through a Memphis. I'm halfway through a Memphis. Yeah, he's been injured, bud. Nice. I was gonna say I'm like halfway into a Memphis Grizzlies video, and if they don't make the playoffs, I have to scrap the whole thing. It's contingent on them like playing in the playoffs, so I might be screwed on that. So expect a random like Charlotte Hornets 3-minute video if Memphis doesn't make the playoffs. I don't even know what that video will entail, but it will be on the Charlotte Hornets.
Memphis Grizzlies, Philadelphia Phillies, Achilles, Lakers in 5.
That one didn't even rhyme. Holy crap. Bro said Philadelphia Phillies. GMLB family. That's going to wrap it up for us. Let us know what your favorite storyline of the season is. Let us know if you have any better storylines that you think would be more fitting to talk about than the ones that we've all brought here today. As always, if you want to view our podcast in its full length, we are on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube. If you want to view short form clips and games we play, interactive, we are on TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram Reels, and YouTube Shorts as well. I said Snapchat already. Never mind. If you want to email the show, we have our email available at gmlbfans@gmail.com. We read all emails on the show. And yeah, fellas, what are we doing for the rest of the night? I think I'm going to the gym, and it's really late, so this is going to be a tough one to get through.
Exam prep.
I'm going to go to bed. Got work early in the morning. Ant-Man, Batman, Spider-Man, Lakers in 5.
Bro got a Lucas shirt on, decided to act different. Bro got some new drip, forgot how to act.
He got ripped out the plastic. He's acting brand new. I'm about to make a steak and pour JD on the rocks. Y'all have a good night.
Gets up and leaves. That would have been insane. All right, GMLB family, we'll catch you in the next one where hopefully we'll finally start talking about playoff matchups instead of saying every week that we'll do it next week. Next week might be the week we finally do that. So we will talk to you. Leave a comment. Let us know what you thought. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one.